Just want to show you how insufferable Twitter is so that you guys can have empathy and compassion for me, because part of my job is to actually go on Twitter and find interesting things to talk about and amuse you guys. But unfortunately, I gotta subject myself to the insanity while doing so. Like, here you have an example. You got that Star Wars girl posting this meme, and she is explaining why everything goes to shit, shows how Isabella was made in the first game. Granted, she wasn't as good because she was just a random NPC back then, but once they decided to make her into a companion, they actually updated her model, her animations, her personality, and she was great. And then in the next game, she's still good, and now we have, like, the wokeness. So you got this individual, right, who poses as a normie. This is like a random person that just doesn't understand. He is set upon a path of discovery. He isn't a woke person, right? He just doesn't know what's happening, and he's like, well, how is she woke? I mean, she's hot. Look, she's got less clothes, right? So, like, if a woman has less clothes, it's pornographic, therefore not woke. And I do my best in order to educate the person, like I find a fellow pilgrim, like, trying to understand the universe, and I'm like, okay, well, the reason she is woke is that in this game is due to this scene.
Pounding that snake's nose, she's still holding the ruby in her other hand. Maker's panties, I was so proud.
Oh,
Maker's panties.
Ah, shit. They're still holding it, sorry.
what are you doing?
Pulling a barb.
Oh, okay. A barv?
Tradition in the Lords of Fortune, from one of our old members, Barv. Good guy, but like most of us, his plans went sideways a lot. Bad blood among your crew's not good for morale, but there's not always time for big drawn-out apologies. So, when one of us screws up and we know we've screwed up, we do a quick 10 to put it right. Pulling a Barv. Ah, there we go.
I'm glad the Lords of Fortune have Tarsh's back.
Oh, Tarsh isn't the first non-binary member of the Lords.
Really?
It was a little before your time, but Horlicks was one of ours. Huh. Bastard looked better than I did in a dress or pants. And out of them too.
Any reason you can't just apologise?
Sometimes people say, oops, sorry, and hope that fixes it. But they just want to get the whole thing over with. Trust me, I know. But pulling a barv, you sweat a little. Makes you think about it a little more. Shows the other person you mean it.
What if they mean it when they say they're sorry, though?
This is like a children cartoon where the purpose is to educate the child rather than entertain the audience. I mean, look, a character just like acting as if this is like the most interesting thing, the most fascinating thing that's being discussed here. It's kind of like those religious cartoons that I grew up with, and you have Jesus talking to the people on the mountain, and someone goes like, but Jesus, what if blah, 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 and Jesus goes, well, in that case, isn't it like that? So why is it woke? Well, let's look at the character. In the previous games, this is a very self-centered character which steals a holy book and it almost gets a city massacred. Well, actually, it can get a city massacred basically depending on what decisions you make, right? Because it's an RPG. Like back then, you could actually make decisions. So like she steals this holy book that was very important to the Kunari. And if you romance her, she actually feels sorry and comes back and brings the book so you can put her on path for redemption. Or if you don't romance her, she's just gone, right? Like, she doesn't give a fuck about anyone, like all the civilians that get murdered. Like, she doesn't care. But now, she is obsessed about pronouns to the point where she does self-flagellation. Like, she's going to start doing push-ups and she's going to lecture everyone about pronouns. This is not a character anymore. This is a VTuber, which is being used by the writers so that they can spill their frustrations onto the audience. Like all the insecurities, all the frustrations, all the trauma that the writer has is now being exteriorized on the character. And this is why it's fucking woke. Because a lot of people go, it's like, oh, well, if you have a black person, is that woke? Oh, well, you got a woman, is it woke? It's the fucking intent. It's the intent. If your intent is to entertain the audience, if your intent is to create immersion, or is because you think it fits in the story, then you can have an entire game with only black people and it's not woke. But if your intent is to be subversive, is to educate the audience, is to lecture to the audience, then it's fucking woke. Like, notice how there's no RPG in here. Like, literally, all the choices are very respectful, are within the dialogue. Like, you can't tell her, like, we don't have time for this shit. Like, can you not fuck off? Like, I don't care. You do not have that dialogue option. I'm surprised they even let you skip. So, in a previous game, you can even slap Morrigan. Like, that is in Dragonage 1. You can just go to Morrigan and get a... You don't have to do it. Most players probably don't. I never tried to slap Morrigan, but the dialogue is there. Like, it allows you to roleplay as an asshole. You cannot do it here. You're not allowed to be disrespectful to anyone. You do not have the renegade option anymore because the purpose is not to allow you for creativity, for freedom, for entertainment. The purpose is to get you to sit down and understand why when you mess up the pronouns, how hurtful it is for the writer. Like, because you can just visualize the writer. I don't even need to know who wrote this because I close my eyes and I can see them in the back of my head. Probably from California. And they're basically trying to tell me how difficult life is for them. Which is fine, but apparently I need to pay $70 for this shit. So, going back to our little neutral person, the pilgrim on the center of discovery. Right? He just doesn't know what I'm talking about. He is just in a fit of laughter. He's just like, oh, how can Isabella be woke? What are you talking about? So I show him this. Absolute irrefutable evidence. What does he do? Oh, but it comes from Grams. It's come from Grams. Talk about his video game. It's like, okay, you know what? When you go and you dig these clips before the game is released, I will use you as a source instead of Grams. How about that? You know what? You do what Grams does, and I swear I will unfollow Grams. Like, if you start exposing shit from the gaming industry, and don't give me the stuff, oh yeah, but like yesterday Grams was wrong. Okay, you know, after 1,000 of good information, he gives me like one thing that's wrong. Oh my goodness. It's still a better track record than CNN. And not to mention, I already made the video calling out Grams when he made the mistake. It happens, you know, I have this ability, again, like I have a lot of superpowers that leftists can't grasp, which is to judge individual cases regardless where they're coming from, right? So like if Grams tells me, oh, we got this NDA that's like, it doesn't look legit to me. But when he shows a video like this and before the game is out and it's like, look how cringe it is, I think it's true, right? Like I have this ability of thinking for myself. It's something that leftists haven't discovered yet, but like maybe in the future. So no, I don't give a fuck. This is why I don't care about Grams and his video game. It's just like I don't care because I do not want to emulate Grams. I do not want to become like him. I don't want my son to become... I'm not interested. I'm not saying he's a good person or a bad person. I just don't give a fuck. The only thing I care is for him to destabilize this culture. I want him to do as much damage as possible to this culture. And if he is a bad person, the better. The better. You deserve people like him to go after and criticize this shit. Because this shit is in desperate need of criticism. It's begging to be criticized. It's begging to be exposed. So that is my life on Twitter. Just so you can understand the hardship that I go through. Let me know what you think. And as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.